Hi everybody, my name is Sam Pedro. In today's video I'll be talking about the book What the Dog Saw, which was written by Malcolm Gladwell. In today's video I'm going to briefly summarize the book and just share a few of my highlights and takeaways from the book. This book was published in 2009 and it's a collection of essays which were written by Malcolm Gladwell, and I'm pretty sure each of these essays had already been published before in the New Yorker magazine, and they were just brought together for this collection. I'm a big fan of Malcolm Gladwell. I've read every single one of his books, and I've liked each of them. This was the last book which I had not read before, and I was a little hesitant to read it just because some of the reviews and the ratings on Goodreads were really low. But I actually found this to be one of my favorite books. I loved it. I thought every essay in this book was super interesting. As I was reading through the book, I was reminded a lot of David Foster Wallace. I've read all of his essays, and they just seemed similar to me. And I think part of it is I just really like the essay format. And so I think that plays into maybe why I liked the book so much. It's interesting, as I was reading some reviews, I think the New York Times, they called Malcolm Gladwell the eclectic detective. And I think that just is a great summary of who he is, especially in the book What the Dog Saw. He's looking at these interesting ideas which you would never consider and you'd never think about, and he packages them so well into this very easily digestible format. And so I just found it all to be so interesting. And maybe this is weird to say, but every time I read a Malcolm Gladwell book, I almost feel a little bit smarter. The essays are organized into three different sections in the book. So the first section is about minor geniuses and pioneers, and so they're about individuals. The second section is about ideas and theories and predictions, and then the third section is about character and personality traits. The essays cover a wide range of topics. So one of the most famous essays in here is called The Ketchup Conundrum, and it explores why is there only one type of ketchup, but there's dozens of types of mustards or types of spaghetti sauces. That was an interesting one. There's an essay about Nassim Nicholas Taleb, and I'm a big fan of his books, and just kind of explores him and some of the radical ideas he has about risk. And there's another couple essays that stood out about Enron and the accounting scandal. Found them to be really fascinating. But now I want to talk about my two favorite essays. It was pretty hard to narrow down because I liked all of them, but I wanted to choose and highlight the two essays that really got me thinking a lot and that were really entertaining. And the first essay is called What the Dog Saw, and it was about Cesar Millan, who is also known as the Dog Whisperer. And it just highlights his life and his backstory and kind of tells some of the psychology of training dogs, and it just does it really well. And I'll be honest, this might be it was more entertaining maybe than thought-provoking. The next essay, I thought it was very thought-provoking, and it is about homelessness, and it brings this interesting idea about why we have these societal issues that are really hard to solve, and sometimes we just want to throw money at them. And Malcolm Gladwell starts looking at why some of these issues, they can't be solved by just throwing money at them. The problem comes because we think of that these issues happen on a bell curve, and so people, they maybe 5% or so many standard deviations away from the mean are going to be homeless or will be living in poverty. He found that they are actually power law distributed, which means that there's a lot at the extremes, or there's just a few at the extremes that do cause most of the problems. So for example, with homelessness, I think he was looking at Reno, Nevada. I might be wrong, but he basically found that most people who are classified as homeless, they're homeless for a day or two. Maybe occasionally there might be someone who's homeless for a week or a month. But instead, the ones that cause society the biggest cost, there are only a handful of them. And I think in this study, there was like 12, maybe a dozen of these individuals that were in and out of the ER with issues that were related to them being homeless. And each of these homeless people actually racked up medical bills that were over $1 million. And he just said that it would be cheaper for society to purchase them an apartment and a full-time nurse than to have them keep going back to the emergency room for medical services. And so anyways, it just brings up this interesting idea how there's only these few that cause all the cost and all the issues. And he also explores this idea with police and how there are a few bad officers for the most part, but those officers that are bad, they cause most of the issues. And so just a really interesting, thought-provoking idea. He doesn't really bring solutions, but just kind of introduces you to the idea. So yeah, those are my two favorite essays from the book. It was really hard to narrow down. I found all of them fascinating. I think this is a great book. If you've read books that are more in just a collection of essays or used to reading articles, longer articles, I think you'll find this book interesting. It talks a lot about a lot of ideas that I had never really considered and lays them out very well. So I was a big fan of this book, and yeah, I definitely think you should go check it out. Let me know below if you've read this book or how this book ranks compared to other Malcolm Gladwell books. I'd be very interested to see your opinions on that. And if you liked the video, hit the like button and subscribe to my channel, and I hope you all have a good day.